Harold Bloom's Where Shall Wisdom Be Found? And it was purchased from McKay's. Now, with this one, I wrote down a few notes. One of them was that, I guess we'll just do it this way. I'm kind of out of it. I didn't get much sleep. I don't give a shit. Fuck it. This isn't... Alright. Anyway. He says Job was the writer of Job, apparently, because he talks about the Bible a lot in here. Especially, I think, in the beginning. We'll see if it goes in the end. Of course, I did it over halfway. He's like, Job, the writer, was of doubtable faith, and so he didn't believe he was a really religious person, that it was almost like a mockery of God, maybe. I'm trying to remember the exact way he put it. But, and he said the epilogue of Job was trash. I think he said there was like 3 different writers, or at least there was like I can't remember which part he said was the good part. The middle part? Fuck, I don't know. Who gives a shit? But he said the epilogue was trash, and it was the shittiest, like, low-quality part of Job. I don't even remember what the fucking is in the epilogue. Probably some religious justification for what happened, to tie it all together. That was interesting. In this book, he calls mediaversities of multiculturalism, which I don't even know exactly what the fuck that would even mean. I get the multiculturalism part. You would not seek me if you had not already found me. Platonic words of Pascal. That's from Blaise Pascal's Wager. Freud is an unknown Platonist, and he mentions Iris Murdoch a lot in here. Actually, the section I'm reading, I think he stopped doing it somewhat. Fuck, what was I gonna say? There was something where he's like, Pascal, what did he say? Like, somebody wouldn't even accept this stupid ass wager? God damn it, I don't even give a shit. There's gonna be a few passages, but this book, I don't hate it. But, I don't know, I think I was expecting better from Harold Bloom. Maybe it just doesn't work for me. I like the idea of, I'm reading the fucking intellectual list. They'll tell me some smart shit, right? That'll be intriguing. But, for the most part, I'm not saying there's not intriguing parts, but it just feels like it's just so unnecessary. He'll just like compare the essays of Francis Bacon. Knowledge is power. France is Bacon. Oh. All right. He compares like the essays of Francis Bacon to Michel de Montaigne, which that's one of the best, more interesting parts is reading about Montaigne. As soon as I saw his name mentioned, I was like, hell yeah, I gotta read that. Maybe I should just flip through some of this that I've read, at least up to here. So we have up to here. And I'm going to go through some of these passages anyway, so I don't even know. Nietzsche gets mentioned. He talks about Shakespeare a lot. He's just in there sucking Shakespeare's dick the whole way through, be like, Shakespeare's the greatest fucking author. No, thanks a lot, dipshit. You think fucking haven't encountered English course? Everyone's heard of Shakespeare. It's like, I don't know, man. What is it even comparable to? Saying like fucking going on this crusade about how Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever. It just seems like a pointless fight. It's like, there's this a good quote. He's like, if any thought could float down the river, but to fight the river, you need a unique mind. There's a really good quote about that, about someone. I can't remember who it is. I'm half asleep. Maybe I'll edit the details into this if I ever look it up. Don't get your hopes up, though. Cause I float through I don't even float on the river. I just fucking lay on the side. Lazy river, bitches. Alright, alright. Fuck this shit. I'm reading the passages. Peace. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned this, but I guess I have a passage on this. This motherfucker hates philosophy. He's like, I am Alagos, averse to philosophy. And alright, you just might say whatever this line, but he goes on and on about how you don't need fucking Plato. Plato is, like, you have Shakespeare, who the fuck needs Plato? Or you have Homer, you had Homer back in the day. This motherfucker, man, I swear to God. But I love philosophers. I think Michel de Montaigne is a philosopher, and he fucking sucks him off. So I don't know what's up with this guy. He probably doesn't even consider Montaigne a philosopher, but it's like you're just like picking and choosing at that point, you know. So fuck him. Fuck you, Harold Bloom. You son of a bitch. Bloom, some common sense, you piece of Alright, this is being ridiculous. Hold on. Oh, this is interesting where it goes on about ideologies of resentment. So this one actually is somewhat interesting. Plato carries what? Maybe falsely blames Plato for this shit, though. Plato carries what, to me, is a darker burden. For the more anguished quarrel is between poetry and theology, inaugurated by Plato's Socrates in the Republic, and still prevalent, except that the ideologies of resentment have largely displaced theology. It is like its own religion, man. Thus, I have heard Emerson and Whitman denounced as racist. Hitchens also talks on some of this that is mentioned here. But anyway. And some years back, after teaching King Lear, I received an anonymous note informing me that every class I'd ever conducted was an act of violence against women of Yale. Fucking, just, what do you call that? I just catastrophize and everything. Doubtless it is unfair to call such lemmings Platonists. You tell them, buddy. Since probably they have never read the Republic or the laws. Yeah, you won't even read, bitch. You just fucking watch Anita Sarkeesian on the YouTube. Suck it. But the legacy is clear enough. Yeah. I don't know if we should be blaming Plato, but cut. Alright, this is interesting. He did heavily praises Don Quixote. That's one long books I've read. I have read Don Quixote. I have read the memoirs of Michel de Montaigne as well as the Donald. Oh yeah, I'll probably get to that. Maybe, I don't know. But he specifically points out that Donald Frame makes the best translations, and that's the one translation I know. I remember when I read the Michel de Montaigne's essays. It's a whole long story. I lost a copy that was selected. Lost it. The other copy they had was a different translation. It sucked. I went back and the only other copy they had was the complete essays. I was like, fuck it, I'll just read all of the essays. So I ended up reading every essay of Michel de Montaigne because I had the other book like stolen or lost or whatever. Anyway, Cervantes himself is a constant, if disguised, presence in the text is the answer. I don't know if I read it. It was the most battered. Actually, yeah, the whole point I was going to make was he was captured by Barbary pirates, which I found interesting. Served as a Barbary slave. I remember I asked I think it was ChatGPT. I was like, "Hey, was Cervantes Barbary? Was he a Barbary slave or whatever?" And it's like, no, he was not a Barbary slave, but he was captured by the Barbary pirates who enslaved him. I was like, you motherfucker, it's like, what is your logic system? But they gotta upgrade to fucking ChatGPT 4.0 or some shit, because that fucking AI is retarded. Alright, this I'm getting just because, alright, so I've been reading finally Tasting History. Everyone's like, oh, you gotta watch on YouTube Tasting History, because I'd watch like weird food, and I was interested, I want like books on food history and shit. Anyway, there's this meme on there about hardtack, and then right after I'd binge it, I turned the page, I'd start on the page before, and I open it, it was boom right here, the taste of hardtack, clack, clack, clack. I just think of him clacking those fucking hardtacks together. So I thought that was pretty Bader Meinhof kind of a thing going on there. Alright, this is kind of interesting. The Chroniclers of Nihilism. I like this little passage, whether it's true or not. Chroniclers of... fuck it. Let's just go with it. Or the road to Nietzsche's transvaluation of all values. I don't think transvaluation of all values is inherently nihilistic. It's like I always view, like, existentialism as, like, the next path after... Like, you have to go through nihilism to get to not existentialism, and then sometimes you vacillate. You go back from your own beliefs to... no beliefs. Anyway, let's go on. God is dead. Everything is permitted. Blah blah blah. Tend to empathize the philosophical tradition in which the will takes the place of a normative God who has sent down standards for truth and ethics. Michael Allen Gillespie, or is it Gillespie? Who cares? His useful nihilism before Nietzsche traces the sequence that goes from the early 14th century William of Ockham, Occam's razor, through Montaigne, Francis Bacon, Knowledge is Power. Descartes, I've read some of his work too. Rousseau, I've read his. Kant, I couldn't read him. Oh, get it. Fichte, I was about to mention something that I want to get bogged down on that. Fichte on the idealism. is it other German romantics? Jacobi, John Paul, Tieck, and even Goethe and Hegel. I think they're about to mention Hegel. Here they go. For the opposing Hegelians have lived, Marx and the Russians culminating in, the Hegelians have lived. I remember reading about that back in the day, that Marx he had that whole, what the fuck is it called? Like, the zeitgeist of the time, and so that's why the proletariat's gonna take over. Carried nihilism into terrorism and class revolution. But Schopenhauer returned to Fichte romantic idealism. I don't know exactly what that means. As much as I've studied philosophy, I don't know what the fuck exactly idealism was that. Now there's rationalism versus empiricism, whatever. I don't want to get bogged in this stuff. And thus begat the Dionysiac Nietzsche, who is now claimed by anti-nihilists and nihilists alike. That's true. I generally am with anti-nihilists. Just like I believe that the Prince, I don't know if I even believe it actually, but I've frequently heard the Prince is satire, or it was like, I guess you can say, or written ironically to mock the rulers. Is there anything else down here? But anyway, I remember my friend Brandell, he has this friend named Graham, and he's a nihilist, and he was really into Nietzsche, and then anyway, I don't need to get into it, but I generally believe that Nietzsche was fighting against nihilism to say, look, here's these values. You can find values and things, you don't have to say everything's meaningless. Shakespeare is not mentioned in Gillespie's study, but the German, I probably don't even need to read this. Dostoevsky learned Russian lines from Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare, he knew everything from fucking Shakespeare. Shut the fuck up. You're a blooming idiot. That's what you are, you son of a... Alright, cut. Alright, this is where I started to get intrigued in this book for the first fucking time, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Montaigne and Francis Bacon. I don't really give too much of a shit about Francis Bacon, but big Montaigne fan. Montaigne. The personal essay is Montaigne's, as the drama is Shakespeare. The epic is Homer's, and the novel forever Cervantes. And the first-person shooter is Doom's. Ha ha ha. Everything else is a Doom clone. That the first of essays remains much the best has less to do with his formal originality, though that is considerable, than with the overwhelming directness of his wisdom. He asks us implicitly, incessantly, are your thoughts of any value if they stay within you? His answer is in clear anticipation of Nietzsche is no. Thoughts are events. Montaigne's pleasure for the reader are ultimately difficult but immediately available. Like Shakespeare, he asks you to be... Shut the fuck up about the... Shakespeare, you bitch. Vigorous reader. And his modesty is a mask. Alright, cool. Fucking Shakespeare. Actually, I recently made a collage with these two quotes. I thought they were interesting. You are as much a god as you will own that you are nothing but a man alone. And then on this page we have, if you don't know how to die, don't worry. Nature will tell you what to do on the spot, fully and adequately. She will do this job perfectly for you. Don't bother your head about it. Which brings me back to the only poem, I think I've done this on another book review, but fuck it, no one watches these anyway. The only fuck it, I don't know what I said. I think I said poem. The only poem I remember, god damn you glasses. Death has this much to be said for it. You don't have to get out of bed for it. Wherever you happen to be, they bring it to you for free. It's a Kingsley Amis poem, who's the father of Martin Amis, who wrote Time Zero, which is a great fucking book. Anyway, this is not a great book. Fuck this book. Fuck Harold Bloom. Fuck wisdom. I want to be retarded now. Because this book is retarded. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not... Yeah, it's kind of a disappointment so far. I have another book on these kind of people analyzing the classics. And it's just some... almost... It looks like it's more common sense take. And I thought this would be smarter, but... Cut. The end. I don't recommend it though.